Mrs. Durkosh, please conduct a roll call of the board.
Thank you, Mr. Antonio. Mr. Badger?
Here.
Mrs. David?
Here.
Mrs. DiPietro?
Here.
Mr. Frank? Ms. Greenstein?
Here.
Mrs. Heyman?
Here.
Mr. Stoloff? Mrs. Walsh?
Here.
Mr. Antonio?
Here.
9 present, 0 absent.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance, flag, United States, Republic, God. I'd like to welcome everyone to the December 10th, 2018 special public meeting of the Wissahickon School District's Board of Directors. This meeting was called primarily to vote on the hiring of the new principal for Stony Creek Elementary School. We'll hear more about in a minute. Next on our agenda is a list of prior meetings. And then item 3 is a list of upcoming meetings over the next month or so. And then we're at public comment. I don't see any registered, so we'll move on to the report of the superintendent. Jim?
Okay, thank you. Yes, the one action item tonight is the approval of my recommendation for the next principal of Stony Creek, and that we've had an opportunity to meet Paul Assassin and share some of her materials. And we've been somewhat secretive in who this person is, but out of respect for her, he's in her end. But she's coming to us from Virginia, Yorktown, Virginia. Got a very impressive academic background as well as professional career. I think it's going to be a really tremendous improvement in terms of our leadership team at Stony. I'm very excited about it. And with that, I would ask please for a motion to approve the appointment of Paul Assassin as principal of Stony Creek Elementary School effective January 14th, 2019 for document 1.
So moved. Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Any comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Terrific. Thank you very much. And we will have an opportunity, what will happen with regard to Assassin is we'll get a press release out almost immediately and share more details with the Stony Creek community. We have a representative of that community here tonight. Welcome, sir. And also some details about when the community will be able to meet Assassin, and seeing staff, students, and parents, guardians. Current plan is for all of that to happen on January 10th.
Sound great?
All right, the other item on the agenda is not an action item per se, but we continue our conversation from last meeting about what to do about our AP exam payments. This will be part and parcel of the upcoming budget discussions, but we need to take a little straw poll of sorts tonight, just because kids need to have that understanding. I took back from our conversation on Monday some of the questions and some ideas, including that of a rebate for in terms of our options of what we could do. And I share with the board in my weekly update what I'm recommending at this point is a reimbursement of up to 2 students per year, and then eliminating the requirement for it to be. What we believe is both of those things combined will reduce the number of tests that we end up paying for. First, or I should say, eliminating the exam entirely. If you don't want to take it, we'll just eliminate the number of exams taken, period. Because will be a number of students who decide not to take the exam for whatever reason. And then the second one will take the edge off of those students who do take more than 2 in a given year. And then the caveat is to continue to pay for all students who have a demonstrated financial need.
Jim, can I just, you threw in the extra piece of information regarding the College Board's intention to change their protocol for the signing up for those exams.
Right.
And from experience, I could tell you that if students have to make the decision in the fall about whether or not to take those exams, significantly more students will sign up for them. Because it's not just seniors who decide not to take or sign up for the exams because they no longer need the credit and they don't see the point. There are many students who, let's say, have not fared well in a course. They've been carrying C's. They just know they will not do well in the exam, and they know that by March, which was the original sign-up time, and they'll opt out of signing up. So I agree that, I mean, one is I agree definitely not making it a requirement for the course. But some students, you know, they're hedging their bets basically in November, and if we're going to pay for up to 2, there will be some students who ordinarily who may not have taken them or opt out of them, let's say, in March, will decide to sign up for them in November. So I'm just saying if we can, if we're going to, and I'm in support of doing 2, and I'm supportive of doing 0 payment for students who are in need. Obviously, we'll take care of those. As long as with the understanding that we can revisit these numbers next year, see how they compare, to see whether or not we should either A, increase the number we're paying for, or B, decrease the number.
I think it's a great idea. The reference is that this decision to force the decision in November is the college boards, not ours. And it could well be that more students will sign up and then change their mind, which is possible. Paying the full freight, and that one is also an ad. There's a lot of variables and balls up in the air on this topic all at once. And I like the idea of, again, this time next year, we'll have an invoice. The invoice comes in June. We can even start this conversation earlier. Once we actually know really what happened, it's very hard to predict student behavior, given all of these variables at work at once. And I would really hesitate to negatively impact our work on the achievement gap by doing something much. We might find that we take the next step in here, how this shakes out. The rebate idea was actually really well received, except for that the payment mechanism is the credit card for that, and we couldn't figure out how to make that work without wouldn't be our credit cards. But maybe we can look at that again too.
Yeah, I think the approach of, you know, we'll make this change and then we'll reevaluate next year, see what the data tells us is definitely a smart thing. Regarding the achievement gap piece, so one thing when we re-examine what the change in policy does to AP participation is for us to also take a look at who actually participates in taking AP courses. On average, the Wissahickon High School, by 12th grade, on average, 2/3 of our 12th graders have taken at least one AP course. But if you break that down to low-income students, only 40% of them have. So I think there's some improvement that we can do there. And, you know, as part of this effort, we're going to continue to pay full freight for AP exams for any students that are low income or in financial need. And I think we should do some outreach and make sure that that's well known, so it doesn't serve as a barrier for any of those kids for kind of.
Yeah, no doubt. Actually, matter of fact, the fact of dropping it might actually improve that number, because there might be less stress or less information about going for it and
Right.
rigor of AP, but
Sure.
having the test.
No, I just wanted to understand, Joe, is the 40% number, 40% of the students who are eligible to take AP courses? Because the difference being that, you know, as we, you know, we've looked at the gap of students as they're coming up from the middle school up into the high school. If they're not recommended for certain levels, they often won't even reach that level of being able to take, let's say, AP science exams or AP math exams in particular. They'll just never get to that level.
Yeah, I'm
So I
quoting a
wasn't sure
student
where
for
the number
all
was.
12th graders, but so about a decade or so ago, the College Board and their approach to AP courses shifted pretty dramatically. Back when we were in school, AP was considered the domain of the elite student or the high-flying student. And again, about a decade or so ago, they've been pushing this mantra of AP for all. In essence, they have research that says that any student, regardless of where they are kind of in the academic spectrum, that with any exposure to AP level coursework, it increases their persistence in college and the probability that they will actually graduate within 6 years with a degree. So there's been a push, a concerted effort of them for them to try to expand the profile of students that take AP. Again, they're part of their slogan now is like AP for all as opposed to for elite.
I mean,
Um,
that's correct. And I think counselors have pushed the same thing. All I was saying is that um, students who are coming up into algebra, let's say in 9th grade, cannot get to calculus or statistics in order to even be eligible to take those courses,
Right.
in order to be able to sign up for those AP exams for science and math. So all I'm saying is the other piece that we have to continue to look at as a district is how are those recommendations being made coming out of 8th grade? Make sure we're putting kids in a position that maybe they can get to the AP level, specifically science and math courses, so they could take those.
Yeah, for sure. Sure. There are also AP courses that don't have as stringent requirements as science and math. But not all. Right. So, I mean, again, as part of this effort, in doing some digging in some of the numbers, that statistic popped out at me. So, again, with our focus on the achievement gap and trying to improve educational equity and options, that as part of examining the impact of how many kids are taking AP, how many of them are taking the exam, and so forth, that we also look at who the kids are that are taking the AP courses and do what we can to improve outreach to, particularly our low-income population.
If I could just add a couple of questions, maybe Gary could answer them best. And I don't know that this is the case, but one is, so let's say I didn't take AP English in 11th grade. Can I take AP English in 12th grade? Those are the kinds of prerequisites I'm talking about. I mean, as a former English teacher, I'll tell you there's no reason there should be a prerequisite of that. However, some districts do have that. Or some teachers, or are our teachers discouraging kids who, let's say, did not take the AP in 11th grade from taking the AP in 12th grade? So all of those things factor into how many students are signing up. So I just would want us to look at all of that. Thanks, Jane. Thanks, Gary.
Any other questions, comments?
I have a question. If well, 11th graders to take the AP courses or 12th, wouldn't we be wise to encourage more 11th graders? Or is it hard for 11th?
Yeah, I think part of that answer lies in what we are trying to do as a general rule for all of their career, including their college application choices, is to find what's the best fit for each individual student. So sometimes the answer is, yeah, it's time for you. You can handle it. Go. Sometimes it's, hey, let's ease into this. So I wouldn't want to give a blanket answer. Generally speaking, when we perceive the student can handle it and is interested, then we would push.
My understanding is there's also many fewer AP courses that are taken by juniors. And most of the AP science courses are often, you have to be a senior at that level, or all of the AP language courses, etc.
So if I may, then, if I'm just sensing a okay consensus with this approach, with the understanding we'll visit this after the next invoice. The invoice is really the thing that nails down exactly how much we paid and took what. That comes over the summer, so we'll get that and analyze it and share that result.
Okay. Thanks, Jim. That takes us now to our second public comment period, and there are no speakers registered, so I'll move on to board comments. Any comments from my fellow board members? With that, then, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.